March 10th, 2025, 6:20 in the evening, the holy month of Ramadan, somewhere in the province of Aceh, Indonesia. Over 50 men in orange jumpsuits are running for their lives. They scale the walls. They leap from the roof. They vanish into the marketplace below. How did this happen? And why did it take a mass jailbreak to expose what was rotting underneath? Kutacane is a small town, quiet, remote, nestled in the mountains of southeast Aceh. Most people outside Indonesia have never heard of it, but inside the town sits Lapas Kutacane, a Class 2B correctional facility. On any given day, inside Lapas Kutacane, life moves in tight circles. A cramped cell, a shared bucket, a narrow corridor where 4 men try to pass at once. This is the baseline. This is normal. But how far past normal had this place been pushed? And for how long? Officially, the prison was designed to hold 100 people. On the night of March 10th, it held 368, nearly 4 times the intended number, sleeping in shifts, sharing toilets, breathing recycled air. Indonesia's prison overcrowding problem is not new. Rights groups, including Amnesty International Indonesia, had been flagging the national system for years. But Kutacane Aceh wasn't making headlines. Not yet. On this particular evening, during the holiest month of the Islamic calendar, the pressure finally broke. Ramadan Aceh prison evenings are tense. The men are fasting, hungry, exhausted, and when the food trays arrive, there are nowhere near enough. What followed is still under investigation, but according to statements from prison officials, a dispute broke out during meal distribution. Voices rose, tension escalated into a riot. At approximately 6:25 p.m., inmates forced open an iron gate. They surged through the corridors. They reached the main yard. 368 men, a handful of guards, an open yard. What happens next is the part nobody planned for. The guards were already outnumbered. The facility had no contingency for this. And the inmates, they weren't stopping at the yard. And then they went up. Bystanders outside filmed everything. The videos spread instantly. Inmates, some in uniform, some shirtless, lined the rooftop edge, then dropped into the marketplace crowd below. 52 men escaped that evening. Some ran down alleys. Some blended into Ramadan street markets. The town of Kutacane was suddenly a chase scene. 52 men. A Ramadan marketplace. Darkness falling fast. Who exactly were these men? And what were they willing to risk to get out? The guards were overwhelmed. The facility, running at nearly 3 times capacity, simply didn't have the manpower to stop it. And the marketplace below, packed with Ramadan shoppers, gave the escapees exactly the cover they needed. Within the hour, Kutacane went into lockdown. Police sealed roads. Military units moved in. The Direktorat Jenderal Pemasyarakatan, Indonesia's corrections directorate, was notified at the highest levels. By midnight, 26 men were back in custody. 26 were still out there. Where do you hide in a mountain town suddenly crawling with soldiers? By the morning of March 12th, authorities urged the remaining fugitives to surrender. Some did, some didn't. But here's the question that was now impossible to ignore. This wasn't just a prison break. This was a pressure cooker that had finally exploded. And the question investigators were circling: was this spontaneous, or was it inevitable? The official response came fast. Corrections spokesperson Rika Aprianti confirmed the facility was now secure. She stated that meal distribution had followed regulations, but within hours, a different story started circulating. Multiple reports claimed inmates had been demanding better food portions, that the Ramadan meals were insufficient, that men had been quietly furious for weeks. Indonesia's corrections minister, Agus Andrianto, publicly opened an investigation. The question on the table: was this a spontaneous riot or the predictable result of a system pushed past its limits? 2 narratives, 1 incident, and the data was about to make the official version very hard to defend. Kutacane was not an outlier. Pull back the lens. And the same pattern repeats across Indonesia's correctional network. Dozens of facilities, hundreds of percent overcapacity, thousands of inmates in conditions international law would call inhumane. The Institute for Criminal Justice Reform, ICJR, had already flagged Kutacane specifically before March 2025. Their conclusion was unambiguous. A facility at 270% capacity is not a question of if something breaks. It is a question of when. Two organizations had warned. Neither was heard in time. Amnesty International Indonesia had raised overcrowding alarms long before March 2025. The ICJR had named Kutacane explicitly. The reports were filed. The headlines didn't follow. Guards outnumbered, resources stretched, human dignity absent. This wasn't Kutacane's failure alone. It was Indonesia's. A system holding tens of thousands more inmates than it was ever built to bear. The evidence was always there. The question is what Indonesia does with it now. Corrections Chief Mashuti announced land had been allocated for a new facility. Officers placed under review. Progress on paper. But analysts pointed out the hard truth. Building new cells doesn't fix overcrowding when the same pipeline keeps filling them. The harder levers, alternative sentencing, decriminalization, early release. Those conversations in Indonesia are just beginning. As of today, roughly half of the 52 men who jumped that roof have been returned to custody. Some surrendered, some were caught, some are still out there. The prison is secure, the rooftop is empty, but the conditions that broke it open, those haven't changed. Indonesia now faces a question every overcrowded system eventually confronts. How long can you compress human beings before something gives? And the bigger question, one that reaches far beyond Kutacane Aceh, is whether this will be the moment that finally changes things, or just another headline the world forgot.